Indiamart is known as the Alibaba of India, but is the company legit? And more importantly, can you shop there without getting ripped off? In this video, I will answer all these questions and teach you the ins and outs of the Indiamart platform to help you find cheap suppliers for your online store from India. But first off, why should you even bother sourcing from India in the first place? Why not just use Alibaba to find your suppliers and call it a day? Isn't China better than India for finding products to sell? Well, the times have changed, and here are the facts. The US is in a trade war with China, and China has gotten a lot more expensive over the years. During the Trump era, the president imposed heavy tariffs on many product categories ranging from 10 to 25%, which still exist today, and they aren't going away. And in fact, the tariffs may even increase in the coming years as the trade war intensifies. Meanwhile, India's economy has been booming, and they've been making huge strides in a bunch of industries, especially textiles, handicrafts, jewelry, and automotive. India's government also heavily encourages foreign trade and has signed numerous free trade agreements with the US and other countries, and this means lower import taxes and no tariffs. Now, the other huge benefit is that the cost of labor is lower in India than China. Now, if you take a look at this minimum wage graph, the average minimum monthly wage is about $175 a month in India compared to about $360 per month in China, and this is 2x cheaper. Now, when it comes specifically to manufacturing, the overall labor cost is roughly 37% cheaper in India than China. So basically, this means that you can get products cheaper in India, and China has been losing market share big time in the past several years. But the biggest problem with sourcing from India is finding suppliers. If only there was an Alibaba-like directory specifically catering to Indian suppliers. Well, there is, and it's called Indiamart. So what is Indiamart? Indiamart is the leading Indian B2B marketplace with over 7.8 million suppliers and 170 million buyers. Originally launched in 1996 as a directory of websites, Indiamart has grown into a B2B giant that facilitates transactions from within India and all over the world. Today, Indiamart owns roughly 60% of the entire Indian online classified space, making it the largest B2B e-commerce platform in India that connects Indian manufacturers with businesses locally and globally. And like Alibaba, you don't make direct purchases on the Indiamart platform. Instead, Indiamart is a directory of Indian suppliers, and when you connect with a supplier through Indiamart, you deal with a third-party factory that is not affiliated with the company. So in a nutshell, Indiamart allows you to have direct contact with manufacturers, and you can make whatever product you want. The prices in general are lower than China, and it's an ideal place to create your own private label products with your own brand. But is Indiamart legit? Indiamart is a legitimate company based in India that attracts over 45 million monthly visits. Now, since its launch in 1996, Indiamart has secured multiple rounds of funding. It actually went public in 2019. It is now listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange and the National Stock Exchange. They have a workforce of over 3,000 employees, and in 2023 reported revenues exceeding $120 million. So overall, Indiamart is a real company that makes a lot of money. But is it safe to buy from the platform? And this is where things get a little bit sketchy. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about where to find profitable products to sell online, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day e-commerce mini course below. Now, Indiamart is generally a safe e-commerce marketplace with over 45 million active users, and they offer several protections against scams such as fraud user alerts, escrow services, and seller verification. For example, Indiamart keeps track of the bad actors on the platform and warns users during conversations if a buyer or a seller is suspected as fraudulent. And similar to Alibaba, Indiamart also verifies its suppliers, and they can pay money to add tags to their profiles like Star Supplier, Trust Seal Verified, and Verified Plus Supplier. Now, the best suppliers on the platform also have a leading supplier designation as well. But here's the kicker. Unlike Alibaba, Indiamart does not take any responsibility whatsoever for the actions of suppliers or buyers and does not engage in their transactions or negotiations at all. So basically, whatever happens, happens, and Indiamart takes zero responsibility. However, Indiamart does provide an escrow service called TazaPay, which holds the payment until the seller submits proof of shipment. You can also use PayPal to provide an extra layer of security for your transactions. Now, on the surface, it seems like TazaPay is very similar to Alibaba's trade assurance, but it's different in a very subtle way. Alibaba's trade assurance holds the payment until you receive your goods. However, TazaPay only holds payment until there's proof of shipment. So basically, this means that the supplier can send you anything and still receive their funds. And as a result, a higher level of trust is required when buying from a supplier in Indiamart, and it's easier to get outright scammed. In fact, since 2018, the United States Trade Representative has labeled Indiamart as a notorious market for its role in distributing counterfeit goods and illegal pharmaceuticals. This is why you should never purchase licensed products or food products from Indiamart. But outside of these gotchas, Indiamart offers products and services for more than 7.8 million sellers across 98,000 categories and 56 industries. Anyone can use Indiamart for free, and you don't need a company, a seller's permit, or any business license to start, and having a website is also not necessary. And with that, let's go shopping, and I'll give you a little tour of how the website works. Now, first off, you do not need to create an account on Indiamart right away because one will automatically be created for you once you send an inquiry to a seller. So start by searching for a supplier or a product on the Indiamart homepage. You will see a list of suppliers who offer your desired product. Click on the hyperlink to view the product page where you can see details about the product and the company. Now, on the right-hand side of the product, there's a brief description followed by the company's details. You can visit the company's website by clicking on the company's name. And here, you'll find the company's address, ratings, GST number, and various badges. Now, the badges like Trust Seal Verified, Leading Supplier, Star Supplier, and Verified Exporter are part of a paid service. Suppliers pay a significant premium to Indiamart to be pre-qualified, which helps weed out less serious companies and scammers. And here's what these designations specifically mean. Trust Seal Verified indicates that the supplier has gone through a rigorous verification process conducted by Indiamart. It includes checking the company's legal existence, its business address, and other critical details. Star Supplier is a badge awarded to suppliers based on their overall performance on Indiamart. Factors include the quality of their products, customer service, response time, and overall satisfaction of their clients. Verified Exporter indicates that the supplier is verified as a legit exporter. The verification process typically includes checking the company's export documentation, international trade capabilities, and compliance with export regulations. So basically, you want to work with suppliers who have all three badges. Then, scroll down to read the product description, which includes the minimum order quantities and the company's production capacity. Now, at the bottom right-hand side, you can send an inquiry to the supplier and get the full address of their factory. You can also send email, SMS, or call the supplier. Most suppliers in India have a basic understanding of English, and if you mention that you're looking to import goods, they will likely connect you to a sales representative. But be careful though. Indiamart is known for forwarding your contact information to multiple manufacturers, which can lead to numerous calls. So I would suggest you use an alternate business number instead of your own personal number to avoid spam. Now, once you've selected a product on Indiamart, the next step is to contact the supplier to discuss your order. You can contact the supplier from the product page, and some suppliers have a live chat function. But you must do your own due diligence on a supplier before proceeding with any order. Try to find out more about the product and request a sample to check the quality. Most suppliers are usually willing to send a sample order, and if a supplier refuses to provide a sample, just do not work with them. While buying sample products will cost money, investing in a couple samples is better than placing a large order and ending up disappointed. Plus, many vendors allow the cost of the sample to be credited to your first bulk order, reducing your overall expense. Now, the main challenge with Indiamart is that it functions solely as a directory. There is no feature to place orders directly on the platform, and this means no checkout options, no cart functionality, and often the product info is outdated. Unlike Alibaba, which offers Alipay and trade assurance, you'll need to handle all the transaction details yourself and place your trust in the supplier. Now overall, the safest payment method that Indiamart has to offer is TazaPay, where payment is released to the seller upon uploading shipping details rather than upon delivery. Now it's better than nothing, and it's the easiest way to pay for your goods. Anyway, once you've received and are satisfied with your sample, it's time to negotiate prices with the seller. Now in India, it is common practice for suppliers to expect negotiations, so be prepared to discuss pricing. Engaging with multiple suppliers on Indiamart can provide leverage in these negotiations. However, your ability to negotiate price will largely depend on the volume of your order. If you're placing your first order and the quantity is pretty small, your negotiation power is going to be limited. You should also know that your negotiated price might not include the shipping costs, and you're going to want to ask about shipping separately to ensure it doesn't significantly cut into your profits. Which is probably your next question. How do you handle shipping from India? Well, Indiamart offers Ship with Indiamart, an online service that assists suppliers with their transport needs by connecting them to relevant logistics service partners. So once again, Indiamart will point you to some trusted freight forwarders, but it's up to you to reach out and contact them. By the way, if you need a freight forwarder, feel to email me and I'll give you a referral. But here's the most important step of the entire process. Before shipping, hire an inspection company like Kima to check your goods. This is critical because the cost of returning items, especially to a country as far away as India, can be expensive in case you have problems with your order. Now, depending on the factory location, you can find many inspection companies with a simple Google search. I personally use Kima. Now, once your order arrives, conduct a thorough check. Count the items to ensure the quantity matches what you order. Inspect each product for damage and check for the cleanliness and acceptable packaging. Remember, most inspection companies will only examine a statistically significant sample of your order, meaning some defects could still go unnoticed. If you find any problems, particularly with damaged goods, you should immediately contact the supplier regarding a possible refund. But the million-dollar question here is, should you use Indiamart to find suppliers in India? And overall, I consider Indiamart to be a poor man's Alibaba, and it doesn't offer the same protections as the Alibaba platform, so you have to be super careful. But Indiamart can still be a valuable resource to understand pricing and to find suppliers in India, especially for exporting to the United States. Now, in general, India is going to be cheaper than sourcing from China, especially when you factor in customs duties and tariffs. The downside is that you'll have to do more due diligence on your suppliers. Now, if you search the online reviews, you'll find that tons of people have been scammed, as most of the verified badges on Indiamart can be bought. This is why hiring an inspector is probably the most important step in the process. If they've made the goods for you already and you use TazaPay, the chances of outright fraud are much less. Now, it's going to require more work on your end, but many suppliers listed on Indiamart cater to international markets, and you should be able to find a supplier on there to make whatever you need. Now that you understand how Indiamart works, make sure you watch this video here to learn the ins and outs of sourcing from India.